Hi guys, good afternoon. Here is another thing that we like to do here in this Payment API topic. So this is about the OpenAPI specification and then using the OpenAPI for our API specifications. Okay. So a little bit motivation factor behind this is if you check out the OpenAPI initiative, uh, this is something that the community is working to standardize the how the APIs are described. So in this way, we'll have the single source of truth and then the specifying the APIs, okay, would be will follow the same approach. So in that case, it will be pretty easy to manage the different kinds of communication from one source to another source. Eventually, we have to talk with the different services and throughout the community, right? So if we follow the same standard, this will help. And another benefit of this is like there are lots of tools that we can use to generate the code out of this specification. So we don't have to worry about either the server stops or let's say client things to generate from the OpenAPI specification. So for example, if we created the OpenAPI specification for our user registration process, and then you want to build the UI for it, and then you want to build the UI on Angular, uh, then you can simply generate the code out of it. So it will generate all of the communication code, the request model, responses, everything for you. So that layer is already ready. You just need let's say, the hook up your UI with that things, and then things will be ready. So that is another benefit of it, having a very simplified same specification throughout the community. And also, since there will be a different colors as we discussed last time, we will be using this API. So we'll just share this API specification, and they'll start working on the client side or any other applications they want to build. So eventually, if the contract is same, then they don't have to worry about the our application is ready or not, and we have to follow that contract. So this is the API first approach, right? So we'll first define the APIs, and then we'll start working on the two different processes. So yes, this was a little bit motivation factor behind this, and now we are going to use same OpenAPI specification for our project as well. So to start on that, I have one branch. All right, so I think I have one branch 6. All right, so let's get started on that. It is pretty simple, and then how our user controller will change back to the OpenAPI specification. We'll say that thing. All right, so to do this first, let me create one file, api.yml, okay, where we'll be defining the OpenAPI things. So let me use the same version that I have worked before. I think the last version 3.1.0 has been released, but I haven't checked out the differences. So I'm I'll currently use this one, and then we can update that later if we want. Okay, this is the one version since I think so. This would have updated few things. I haven't checked it out. So this is the payment API. And the description is, we don't care about the description. I think we need to provide the title. And then let's have one contact at least, which is the email. If you want to contact anything related to this API, please contact this one. And then also the version is cool, so let's add this version. After this, we're just directly going to define our paths. Okay, so basically we need to have that paths things. So let's define the paths. The path is the same path that we defined last time, API users, B1 users. All right, so this is the path that we want to have. And then whenever we try to do the post, all right, and then let's use the tags, which will be actually the user tag for now. Since this is a user operation, tag will help to group the things. And then the summary is create user in the system. So if you want to create the user, please use this API, and the operation ID is something create. Okay, I would like to give the create as operation ID, and then I'm going to say that this is the request body, and the content is, what is the content? Content is, let's say, application that JSON. Okay, so and the schema that I would like to take as part of this is let's leave it blank for now. Okay, so we are done with the request. So we can also say that okay, this is something content is required, something like that. So we are taking saying that this is mandatory. And the responses in backend responses, if I'm saying you 200, then the description is okay, and then the content is application, the JSON. Again, we're talking in the JSON format. So the schema would be something like this. So again, I'm leaving this blank. Okay. So the last thing would be we are also dealing with the 400. If you check our controller and controller advice, so we want to say that okay, you can get the 400 as well if there is something wrong comes off. Okay, so description is bad request, and then the content is, let me close this. All right, the content is again the application.json, and the schema is again something I would like to reference, but I don't have that entry as of now. Fine. Mm, Now we need to define the components, all right, and the schemas. What is schema we'd like to define first? There was a schema called user request. I think we defined this as user request, right? So user request, yes. So let's follow the same naming convention. So schemas, the user request, okay, and then the properties it has is like it has name of type string, and you can set an example for this, which is let's say the name of the person, and then email. I think we have the email right, so the type is again a string, and then say that the example is something like this. Okay, this helps to set an example and try it out the APIs. Okay, so and then mobile number was also there, which was also the string, which is also the string. So we can say that this is also a string, and then the example is two, something like that. Fine. And then the second thing, we want to have the user resource as well. Okay, the properties is what else we are trying to return as part of the user resource. Let's check it out. User resource. Yeah, we have the UID and we have the status. So fine, we can add that UID is of type string, and then the example is uh, something 2222 for now. We can have exact what the UID looks like, and then the status. So currently I'll have this status as a string. Okay, so create it. And last thing was the violation response. So we can also do that. Let's say there are error response. No, violation exactly. So violation response or resource. What is this is like properties, and then there was a field called field, right? So we can say that this is of type string, and then the example is maybe the email, all right, and then the message is something again string, and then we'll say that this should not be null. So this is required or something like that. This is required. So this is how we define the schemas. Okay, so these are the schemas that we defined here. And now go back. Let's go back here and then add the references to the schema. So to do that, we have to do something like this. I'm trying to refer the components from here. Okay, from the same file, and then the schema. So I also have to copy this schema and then say that this is the user request, and we are actually done. And the same thing goes for the responses as well. Uh, we will say that, okay, so this is the user resource. Let me just copy that. Fine. And if you see our controller advice, what is the handler, exception handler? So we are trying to return the list of things, okay? We are trying to return the list of violation if there is any error that we are having, just to be a consistent throughout the different errors. Because in the batch request, it could have the multiple fails, which is required from us, which is empty, something like that. So to be a consistent about the 400 error response, what we can do is like, uh, this is a schema of type array, okay? And then the items is, sorry. Okay, so this is the violation response. We are all set. Okay, we define the OPI, sorry, OpenAPI version. We define some information about it. We define the path. We define what we're going to get and what we're trying to return. So this is basically the OpenAPI specification for the contract, and we define the user add process. Let's go back how we are going to generate the course and then the controller out of it, and then how we are going to use it. Okay, so basically here we're trying to use the uh, plugin which will generate the codes in our build process. So if we like to check the things, I think there is the OpenAPI Maven. Uh, yeah, so there is this OpenAPI generator Maven plugin, which can be used to generate the things for us. So let's go back there and then uh, have that dependency with us. So I'm just copying this and then, sorry, this is the thing. Okay, so this is the plugin I would like to have here, and this is the group ID, this is the artifact, this and that. So just let me refresh the Maven. And since we are trying to build things on Spring, okay, not just on the Java language, and Spring is the framework that we're trying to build, so we need to have the generators that is for Spring. And since we are trying to generate the things for server, so to do that, okay, we can check the what the configuration that this guy takes. So we can say that this is the exam, yeah, or yeah, or generator configuration option, something like that. Okay, so if you see here, there are lots of configuration that it will take to do the things for us. So from where to take the files and then from where to take the things and something like that. So I think there should be some example configurations as well. So we can just copy that configuration and do the modification for us. So let me just check if we have some sort of that configurations example. Yeah, so this is something that we need. All right, and then we can have the different. Okay, let's copy this. I'm just going to copy this executions and part of this execution. Okay, generate. This is this, I think, resources API.yml, which is fine. And then the generator that we're trying to use is not Java, it's a Spring. So I'll change the name of a Spring. I think some of them are common. So like the API packages, we can use the API packages. So let me just provide the API packages, as well as I think there is a model package, so we can also use the model package. Now where you want to generate the API, where you want to generate mm, the model, this and that. Okay, and then there should be some sort of other configurations as well, like if you want to generate the things for generate test or model test. Yeah, generate model test, model documentation, so everything is there. So I would like to skip the generate model test, something like that. So this is false. And if you we are trying to have the package, So let's define the package where we want to generate all of these things. Okay. So the API package would be something like this. We can have the p1.api, okay, and then the model package could be something like this, v1.resource, where we'll have all of these requests and responses. Fine. So we provide it as a string, and then we provided, and then if we want to tweak the couple, if we want to, since we are using the uh, string generators, okay. So if we want to provide the configuration specific to the Spring, then this is the way to provide it. So it will take the and this configuration options and then give that to the Spring generator. So if you want to see what are the custom uh, other configuration for the Spring, so you can see the things from here. So these are the configuration that is for the Spring. So basically what we will be using here is there are a couple of things. Let's say the interface only. I think there is interface only. Okay, so it will actually generate the interface. You can try the multiple combination and see the things what actually it generates. But now I'm just generating the things that I'm interested with. So true, and I think there is also the delegate pattern or something like that. So I like that delegate pattern. I'll also uh, use this one, and then since we have defined the tags, we can also yes, this would be use tags. So yeah, so we can say that use tags true. Yeah, we are done. We specified the file, we specified the API packages, we specified the generation name, and then we specified the some configuration related to the Spring. And then this is the OpenAPI generator that we're using, and it should generate the files for us, okay, or let's say the classes for us. Let's check and run this and check if this generates or not. Okay, so if you see here, this guy is trying to generate different kinds of thing. So okay, fine. So I think it has generated things for us. So if you go back in the generated sources, annotations, and then the OpenAPI, okay, and there is a source. From here, you'll see the API, and then if you'll see the user request, and then this is being generated for us, and then the user resource is also generated. Everything else like model classes and then APIs. Okay, so this is why I was using the delegate pattern and the interface only. So it created the default implementation, and then also provide the and these things to override for us. Okay, fine. So if you see here, there are a couple of things. Let me just add this has to be my MAC directory as generated sources root. So in this way, uh, I, this guy can read the classes from here. I think there are a couple of things that we have to take care of here. Is like this is using the ORZ OpenAPI tools and Jackson nullable, and this is the dependency that we need to fix this. Okay. So I think there is the Jackson data by nullable from the OpenAPI. We have to have that dependency in our class path. So let's go and get that dependency and add it here. So yeah, Jackson nullable, right? So OpenAPI tools, Jackson nullable, nullable. I think not the data bind. We want the nullable. Okay, this should be where is that? Okay, let's check. Was it? Yeah, so this is what we wanted to have. All right, so I think what is the latest one? Let's use the latest one. Yeah, we can use this. Fine. So let me just add this dependency in my class path somewhere here, and I think we're good to go. So we don't have any other dependencies, right? So that is needed. Yeah. Now this is resolved and everything. So let me compile the things again. Cool. I think it is get compiled, and then we have everything and kinds of set it up. Okay. If you check back in our API packages, the packages that we have defined, there is a user API. So this is something that we need to implement because everything is ready. If you see here, the path is mapped. It has the valid annotation, it has the request body, everything. So this is what we need to implement because this is not implemented yet, right? So this also have the example that we have provided out of OpenAPI. So let's go back to our user controller, and then instead of doing like this, what we can do is we can simply extend the user API, right? And then there should be a create method that we want to, and then in this case, what we can do is like the same thing. Response dot okay, and then the mapper dot to resource and service dot create and mapper dot to entity user request, and we're done. Now instead of having, and then we can drop a couple of classes. All right, so we don't need this one. User request to entity. What's the problem? Yeah, exactly. Like let's drop the so this is the resource user request. So let's drop these classes. Actually, the three classes we don't need this. Eventually, they are being generated, so we don't have to delete anyway. And then here in this user mapper, okay, instead of using this user request from our we have the user request now. Yeah, we can do this, and then again, for the user resource as well, we can do this. I think we are done, right? So fine. Will it will create the implementation again, and then what's the problem? Hmm? No, it shouldn't have any problem. We have the user request, then we have changed the implementation of mapper. The last thing is we don't have any violation resource now, so we need to change the import class, the violation resource. I think we don't have any uh, OLAX constructor. Okay, so what we can do is we can do something else, new violation, something like this, and there. Okay, we'll initialize the things, and then we'll set the field as filled, a dot get fill, and then the message as a dot get message, or a default message or something like that, and we are done with this as well. So again, there is no fill, so the message is what I want, so which is a dot get message, right? So again, the same thing here. Sorry, that message is a dot get message. Fine, this is pretty cool. Mm, mm, yeah. Okay. So we also updated the exception handlers, everything. So let me just clean one more time and then do the things. What happens? Let's check. If this is good, then we're good to go on this. All right. We deleted the classes that we actually defined for the resource and okay. So what's the problem? User controller did not override and this and that. All right. So we overrided the method from here, right? So what's the problem? Create fine, let's just copy this, and then I think there is a create, so we overridden this. What's the problem? Yeah, let's check it out. What this guy is saying? No, the problem. Oh, implements, not the accent, so this is the problem, right? Because this is the interface, not the class. This is the interface, so we have to implement it. All right, pretty fine. So now we define the contracts, we generated the code out of it, and then we use as part of our controller. So to do the changes in our contracts, we have to modify this file, and this file can be hosted in the different locations. Okay. And then you can use that file from there as well. File could be shared and versioned and everything to the different clients so that they start building their implementation for these APIs. So this is how we do the things as part of the API standardization process. Okay. And then the same thing, we haven't done any changes in a feature from the last time, but we use the OpenAPI specifications and then we generated the code and we use that as part of our controller. And this is the, let's say, the one way of doing it. If you switch back the, let's say, if you switch to the different kinds of configurations, it will generate the different kinds of code as well. So currently I'm using this configuration interface only delegate pattern, something like that. So you can play with this and see what actually different kinds of APIs or let's say classes it generates for you. There are so many configurations that you can play and then you can generate different kinds of things for you. All right, I think mm, now this is it for today's session. Okay, now I'll be pushing this in branch 6. So you can check out the code from there and we'll discuss about another topic next day. Thank you. See you.